my name is Nelly Nur Aididan binti Nordin and I'll be the first presenter. Cassava. The scientific name of cassava is Manihot esculenta crans. It is discovered by Indian population in Latin America. It is also known as tapioca, yuca, manioc, and in Indonesia and Malaysia, it is known as ubi kayu. It is grown in subtropical countries that have no seasonal rhythm and very popular at South America, Africa, and Asia. Cassava is a hardy type of plant, which means that it can survive in extreme climate weather, be able to survive drought, and they have no any crucial harvesting date and can be planted all year long. And cassava also has been stated as the fourth main food crop after rice, maize, wheat. About cassava, although cassava is known as poor food for poor people, it consists essential micronutrients such as vitamin A, B, C, zinc, and iron, and also give 40% more carbohydrate than maize and wheat. There are two types of cassava, sweet cassava and bitter cassava. Both of them contain hydrogen cyanide, which is very poisonous if be consumed without eliminate the poison. And bitter cassava can consist up to 400 mg per kg, and it has to be removed by boiling or cooking the cassava and serve it as a food. Meanwhile, for sweet cassava, it contains less than 50 mg per kg and it is safe to be consumed as it is, but usually people will cook first or boil or roasting the cassava and serve it as a food. And Africa is one of the biggest center production of cassava and consume it because of their extreme climate condition and limited water availability, and cassava is the only best option for them rather than looking for another food crop to be grown. It's not only getting a lot of attention as food, animal feed, and in industrial goods, but also it's getting a lot of attention from biofuel production. Thus, it is very needed a proper policy planning for the production of cassava. It is to trigger the rural economic growth and give opportunity for the farmers, for the growers to uplift their incomes, and can offer food security for household producing and consuming cassava and cassava product. The second part is about cassava as potential food resources. Cassava can be eaten as fresh as it is, add some salt, add some spices, and can be eaten. And they have different cooking style. It can be boiled, it can be steamed, fried, roasted, or baked, and they can be eaten in liquid or solid form. Even the part of cassava pulp and juice also can be used, and it depends on the country, either wanted to make cassava unfermented version or fermented version in food or drinks. This is the food example use cassava, fufu and gari. Fufu and gari is one of the most important and popular dishes in West Africa and Ghana. Fufu is unfermented cassava, which means that it is being prepared by cassava root. It have to be boiled first and being pounded and rounded. It is a sticky dough because of the starch, and it can be done in any starchy crop such as yam or plantain. Meanwhile, for gari is made from cassava pulp, and it has to be fermented around 3 to 10 days or a few hours according to the desiredness, and then it will remove any fibrous material in the cassava pulp, and it will be fried till crispy and light. It has a little bit of sour flavor due to the fermentation, and both of them is being served with stewed veggie, chicken, or beef. And the next one is about sweet and sour cassava flour. For sour cassava flour, it will be undergo fermentation for a few hours or day according to the desiredness, and will be sun dry. And this will give a tangy flavor due to the fermentation, and it is a major ingredient for high swelling bread, which does not require wheat flour, and this fermentation after that Meanwhile, for sweet cassava flour, before draining the excess water, the starch liquid needs to be set first to get this smooth powder texture, similar with corn flour texture. And this is very popular item in Brazil because it will be utilized to make bread, and the bread is called pão de queijo. It is actually a Brazilian cheese bread. Cassava has been widely used in baking and pastry industry. Thanks to modern technology and modern equipment, it helps to produce high quality of cassava flour. Caterers and bakers nowadays also has replaced wheat flour with cassava flour at various levels to produce variety type of pastry and baked goods, to deliver more options for the customer. And research has been conducted that even though it has been replaced with flour with cassava flour, it still serves the overall acceptability in terms of flavor, texture, color, and crunchiness. And besides cassava flour used in baking and pastry industry, it also can be used as thickeners. Thickeners produce noodles, sweets, salad dressing, and also in ice cream powder. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I am Nur Alifah Najihah binti Azmi from SBF 3. Today I will explain about the cassava food product that we chose, which is the cassava flour. A huge market potential of the cassava brings more benefits where the food product develop well and enter the market demand. Variety part of the cassava are very useful to be processed into another food product. And as for the cassava flour, it derived from the cassava roots. It have a long roots, firm, rough, tapered, and is brown in color on the outside. Next, we move into the cassava flour characteristic. Firstly, it is white in color. Second, it is fine and have a powdery texture. Hence, it is suitable to use as baking ingredients due to its nice texture. The baking process also getting easier. Third, it has a neutral taste which can replace the wheat flour. Lastly, cassava flour contains a low amount of calories, sugar and fat content other than gluten-free flour. Hence, it is a best selection for people that have a diabetes or high cholesterol to consume this flour. In this slide, I will explain 5 advantages of using a cassava flour. Firstly, it is a gluten-free flour or also known as grain-free flour. It can be lightly consumed by people who have a diet food intake because this flour is free from any grain, gluten, and nut. Second, it is a food allergy friendly, so most people can consume this flour since it doesn't have any allergy effect towards them. Third, cassava flour does not contain poison. It is true that some plants, include cassava, has cyanogenic glycoside, which can produce the hydrogen cyanides that can be toxic to humans and animals. However, this issue can be overcome with a proper cleansing and preparation process so that it will be safe to consume and further processed into another food product like cassava flour. What happens if it doesn't have a proper cleansing method? By eating it raw, it can cause intoxication and body paralysis. Fourth, cassava flour contains a great source of vitamin C besides potassium, magnesium, calcium, and iron. Vitamin C can help in support human's body and repair skin tissues, while potassium can help in lowers the blood pressure level. Fifth, it has a high carbohydrate content, which is the main source of energy for people. Next, cassava flour has many uses in processing foods, such as producing gluten-free cakes, pizza crust, and also the gravy sauce. Lastly, there are adverse effects of consuming too much or a large amount of cassava flour, such as increase the blood pressure level, getting high risk of heart attack and stroke. There is some study that says 1 portion of the cassava flour contains 470 milligrams of sodium. So people need to take the cassava flour in a moderate amount. This appendix shows the cross-section of the cassava roots, and also the cassava food products, which is cassava flour. That's all from me. Thank you.
The production of cassava in 2007, Malaysia have around 2,396 hectare of cassava cultivating area. This can produce around 38,711 metric tons with a value of 37.5 million ringgit Malaysia. In 2011, the cultivating area increased to 2,444 hectare with 41,045 metric ton yield. Johor is the major contributor for cassava production in Malaysia, which is 86%. The area of cassava planting in Johor around 875 hectare and can produce 19,506 metric ton. Other states that grow cassava are Selangor, Perak, Kelantan, and Pahang. There are a lot of cassava variation in Malaysia that are edible and some are poisonous. Example of poisonous cassava in Malaysia is ubi gajah. Local people consume cassava flesh and the leaves as their food sources. Nowadays, cassava production have received many attention from the company that are interested in developing the cassava in Malaysia. Now, we proceed to the detailed milling of cassava. There are 9 procedures to manufacture high-quality cassava flour or HQCF. The first procedure is harvesting the fresh cassava. Suitable harvesting time is crucial to ensure the cassava are in the best condition. Harvesting during rainy season must be avoided. The cassava roots should be well matured, which around 10 to 12 months. The second procedure is washing the cassava by using rotary washer machine. This machine can clean 98% of the cassava roots and remove any dirt and sand particles. Washing process continue by using pedal washing machine. The third procedure is peeling the cassava skin and in a thick layer by the cassava peeling machine. This machine can efficiently remove the unwanted cassava skin and lower the damage to the product. The fourth process is grating process of cassava. Cassava grating machine will crush and grate the cassava into uniform size paste. A clean sack must be held by a worker to collect the grated cassava before transferring it to the next process. The fifth procedure is dewatering process of cassava by using hydraulic press dewater machine. The presser can reduce the moisture content of the cassava kits between 40 to 45% after pressuring for about 40 minutes. Step number 6 is cake breaking or granulating of cassava cake. The cake granulator machine was used to break the pressed solid cake into granulates. This process will improve the uniformity of drying and avoid clumping. Step number 7 is drying of cassava. This step uses the airflow flash dryer machine to ensure the effectiveness of drying process. The final moisture content will be less than 13%. Next step is milling and sieving process of cassava. The machinery used for this process is hammer mill to achieve the size less than 400 micrometer. Then sieve the cassava flour to obtain fine HQCF. The last procedure is packaging and labeling the cassava flour. A suitable, hygienic, light and moisture resistant packaging must be used. Then label the packaging with compulsory details such as brand name, name of the manufacturer, batch number, expiry date, and many more. In conclusion, cassava is important food sources in the world after rice, maize, and wheat. The specialty of cassava is they can stand extreme conditions that make it suitable to be planted in arid area. Cassava also can be manufactured into starch and high-quality cassava flour or known as HQCF that can be used in the baking and pastry. Cassava products also can be used for food production, pharmaceutical and other industrial use such as textile and paper making production. The government should improve the cassava production by introducing a policy that can cater the demand and supply of cassava, thus commercialize this agriculture industry. Private sector also can make investment and expand the market potential for cassava production. The market innovations such as quality standards, branding, and certification will promote the market of cassava as well as sustain the demand. That's all from us. Thank you.